Our first topic is family. And my question is, who do you think that you're the most like?
Who am I the most like? In appearance?
Yes.
Both appearance and character?
Yeah, both.
Okay, so appearance, I look mostly like my mom, I think.
Okay.
I have more of her like skin tone, I have her eyes.
Yeah.
And on her side of the family, most of the people are pretty skinny. And I'm a rather skinny guy. My dad's side is German and they tend to be a little bit bigger. So yeah, I definitely got my mom's side. But character-wise, I think I'm a little more like my dad. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say you have shades of your dad.
You know me so well, so you can answer this too.
Yeah, I think you have shades of your dad. Yeah.
Shades, yeah. I think I'm more silly than my dad. That's not very hard because my dad is pretty serious.
He's got a silly side though.
He does, yeah. But for the most part, I think I'm more like my dad because he has a very calm demeanor. He's very patient and he doesn't get stressed about anything. And actually, my dad gets so unstressed about everything, I can't even understand it. I'm like, how are you so calm right now? And everybody I know thinks that I'm like the most stress-free person like they know.
But your dad is even more stress-free.
Yeah, but we're similar, like growing up when my parents would be going somewhere and needing to get out of the house. Me and my dad would be the last one out of the house every single time. And we would be like, what? We'll make it. We'll be okay. No problem.
And your mom and brother and sister were saying, come on, hurry!
Like, God, let's go! My mom is much more high-stress, anxious kind of personality.
That's kind of a typical family situation, I think.
How about you?
I think I have both my parents in me as well. I think I look a lot like my mom.
Yeah, she looks exactly like her mom. They're like to a T.
Sometimes when I see pictures of myself and then I look at a picture of her at the same age, I think, whoa, we look really similar, and she looks a lot like her mom. So I can kind of imagine what I'll look like when I'm getting older.
Yeah. I mean, you have darker hair and darker features. You got that from your dad.
Yeah, somewhat. But I think a lot of my features are similar to my mom. But I think I also got my facial expressions from my mom. A lot of you comment that, wow, Vanessa, you have a lot of expressions.
Your mom is very expressive, just like you.
I think it's true that I use a lot of expressions, but it's just natural for me. I do this in daily life as I'm talking about things. And I think that I get that from my mom. Sometimes I see some of her expressions and I realize, oh, I do that too.
Yeah, I remember when we lived in South Korea, every single Korean person was commenting on Vanessa's expressions. They're like, your face, it's so exciting. How are you making so many faces? Everybody was surprised.
I don't know.
Just in Korea, they don't make as many faces?
I don't know. Maybe it's just an unusual trait. I'm grateful for that, especially as a teacher. I can hopefully help to explain some different concepts with my face as well. But I feel like I also have parts of my dad. My dad is a pretty rational guy.
You're rational like your dad.
Yeah, but I think I also have his sense of humor. Sometimes a little strange sense of humor, but we laugh at the same things. We enjoy playing games and being competitive. So I think that side of me, maybe some of the character side of me is similar to him. But I feel like I also have parts of my grandma. My grandma is a go person.
That's true.
She never stops. And I think my biggest flaw is that I have difficulty slowing down and relaxing. I just keep going, and I think that
That's why she's with me.
I need help relaxing.
I help her relax.
Yeah, so I think that my grandma's like this too, that she's always going and always doing things, and it's healthy to slow down every now and then, and so I need to do that. She probably needs to do that too sometimes, but I don't know if I learned that from her, but maybe that's just part of my
I think it's your personality.
DNA, my character.
I can remember even when I first met Vanessa, she was more go, go, go than she is now.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, more like to this thing to the next, and like the enthusiasm was always just like bouncing.
I always
everywhere.
have a lot of enthusiasm.
Yes,
that's
it
true.
was off the charts.
Yeah, so I want to know for you, who are you most like in your family? Is it maybe your physical traits or for your character? All right, let's go on to our second question. The next topic is childhood. I want to know, when do you think childhood ends and when do you become an adult?
When does
This is a deep question.
Well, I don't think it can be a specific age. I think it's different for everyone. I think it's at any point you can leave the house of your parents and live on your own. Take care of yourself. And you're not like dependent on somebody else. Like if you're living with your friends and bumming off them, you're probably not an adult yet. So if I had to pick like an age, I'd probably say like 16.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm saying kind of young. In an ideal world, I think a 16-year-old should be ready.
Okay. Okay.
But-
At 16, were you ready?
No. Of course not.
Ideally.
Ideally. Yeah, I don't think, our society prepares us to be ready at 16. It prepares you to be ready at 18.
Or later.
Right, or later. So, but, in an ideal world, I think you could be ready at 16. But it's a kind of complicated world now, so maybe 18 is an acceptable age.
I feel like for me, I have less ideas about childhood ending and adulthood starting that are physical. I feel like it has more to do with making your own decisions. There might be a lot of reasons why you have to live at home or you have to be dependent on someone else, but if you are making your own decisions, you are not a child, you're an adult. And I'm sure as our children get older and become teenagers, that's going to be a little bit harder for us to make that line for someone else.
Yeah.
But I know for myself,
Well, this
making
is
more decisions.
assuming you are capable as a person to live on your own.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I think you can still be an adult just making your own decisions. But we still need help from other people as adults, so it's a gray area.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
not so clear.
Also add, I don't know, for myself personally, having children really makes you an adult. It doesn't have to be true for everyone, but I think it's easier for some people to just kind of be really selfish and do their own thing and kind of live like a kid, especially nowadays because we have so much entertainment. You could just watch TV every day. A lot of guys I know play video games a lot, and I'm not knocking on video games, but playing video games every day is a good way to remain a child. At heart, anyways. This is my opinion. It's a little judgmental.
Yeah, I think if you are a good person and you have a child, then you feel forced to become an adult. There's still bad people who have kids who remain children themselves, and then they're bad parents. But I think if you're generally a good person, when you have kids, that's kind of a shock.
Yeah,
like, whoa, this child is so dependent on me. I need to be responsible. I have to organize myself somehow, and
I
you have to change.
Being an adult, part of it is having a burden of responsibility of some kind. So whether it's a job or your house payments or whatever it is. So some people add those burdens of responsibility anyways without children, but I don't know. For me, it's just different to like, this is the person I'm taking care of in my life. People now.
Yeah.
You got two.
We have 2 coming up soon. So I have a question for you. When do you think childhood ends? When does adulthood start? It's going to be different for every culture too, because this is a pretty cultural specific question. Maybe in the US it's different than your country.
Maybe you have a rite of passage in your country.
Oh, can you explain what a rite of passage is? Because that's kind of a nuanced thing.
A rite of passage is something that every boy or every girl does to become an adult.
Like some ceremony or
like a ceremony.
activity.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have this in the U.S. Some people say college is a rite of passage, but not. I mean, more and more, almost everybody goes to college now.
A lot of people do.
Yeah,
but
so it kind of is, but it's a really bad one because usually people just go and they have parties and they live really irresponsibly.
it's not a way to become a responsible adult.
Yeah, and then you do more school.
Yeah.
It's not really, becoming a man.
Changing your life completely. Yeah. So I'm curious, in your country, is there something that signifies now you are an adult? This kind of rite of passage ceremony or festivity or party that you have? In the US, we don't really have that, but I think it's kind of a cool idea that you're celebrating.
I wish we did.
This big change going from childhood to adulthood, and it is a gray area. At least in the US, it's a really gray area, so it's nice to celebrate that as parents, that your kids are adults, hopefully, and that as a child, oh great, now I'm an adult, society sees me as an adult. So I think it's a kind of a cool idea, but maybe it's something we can do with our future kids. All right, let's go on to the next topic. The next topic is jobs. I want to know, what was your worst job ever?
Worst job ever.
Yeah.
Well, I have 2 competing jobs.
Hopefully it's not your current job making English lessons.
It's video editing and doing these videos.
Oh no!
I can't stand working with my wife. Just kidding. It's the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, really my worst job, if I had to pick just one, it would be being a dishwasher.
Oh.
Now notice, there's no differentiation between the machine a dishwasher and the person who's a dishwasher. It's the same word.
So you were like the machine. You were washing dishes.
I mean, you did have a machine, so you'd have like something on the side, you'd slide the dishes in and all that. But it's just, I was also like, I think I was 16 at the time, an adult.
Okay.
And I had no friends in the restaurant. They were all older and they were all really tough. I don't know, in America, when you kitchens have a reputation for having really kind of tough kitchen cooks, and they swear a lot and they make
had a lot of life experiences.
And I was just like a little Christian 16-year-old kid washing dishes in the corner, trying to look like, relatively normal. But I didn't talk to anybody.
And you were homeschooled, no experiences.
Well, at that time I was in high school. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a small private school.
Anyways, very different
so
from the other
not
people.
only was that really awkward, it was also bad because washing dishes just kind of stinks. You just get all the dishes, and some of the guys used to make fun that I wasn't going fast enough. One guy said, "Dan, you have 2 speeds, slow and stop."
You're like a turtle?
Yeah, I'm like a turtle.
Well, sometimes I still say that.
I wasn't fast enough. And another time I reached into the mucky, dirty water and I cut my finger on a broken glass and I was bleeding in the water.
Oh, things you don't want to know when you visit a restaurant.
And I was paid under the table.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd they have to pay you under the table?
I don't know. So it's an
You were too
Italian
young?
restaurant in rural Pennsylvania.
They didn't want to pay taxes on all their employees or something?
Of course, who wants to pay taxes
I
on
wonder
a
if it was
dishwasher?
because you were 16. Like, was there an age
I
limit?
might have even been 15 at the time.
Okay, maybe you were under the legal age that they could hire someone, so they
Could be.
just paid you under the table.
Yeah, so that was
That
was pretty
bad.
Yeah, it was a awkward
Especially
job.
as a first job, it just
my
seems
second job.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
How about you?
I feel like,
Could it beat that?
well, I feel like my worst job wasn't bad because of the social situation like yours. It was bad because it was so boring. So I worked for a summer at this office. I was like a temporary employee just for the summer, working kind of like a call center job, but every day they gave us these scripts and we had to call companies who, maybe this company bought a printer within the last couple months.
I'm bored just listening to that.
Yeah, and I called the company and said, oh, I saw that you recently bought the HP inkjet printer and we have an upcoming training session on this day. Would you like to attend the training session about this printer?
She does have a really good call voice.
And I called so many companies again and again, talking with the secretaries, talking with other people, just saying, do you want to go to this seminar about some electronic device that they had recently bought?
If you called me, I'd be like, yeah, I do. Can I buy more?
Well, people were generally nice to me. It wasn't a subject that I was interested in. It wasn't something I was trained to do, so I didn't feel like it was my specialty. It was just a temporary job
And you're
to make money.
sitting in an office all day, right?
Yeah, it was my first office job.
Vanessa doesn't like to sit very long.
I have to go, like we talked about. So sitting in that office desk, it was just not my thing. But the office, on the other hand, did really try to make it interesting for the employees because they knew most of the people I worked with were in a similar position as me, where it wasn't their lifelong dream to work in that job. So about once a week, we had these game show competitions.
That sounds fun.
Where at lunch, during the lunch break, everyone would go to the lunchroom, if you wanted to, of course, and they had these competitions, kind of like Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy, and the company just had them for the employees. Sometimes we had dress-up days where we dressed up like cowboys or dressed up like this. They're trying to make it interesting.
Come on, that's better than being a dishwasher.
It's probably better than being a dishwasher. But I just felt like they were trying so hard to keep employees, to make it interesting, because they knew this is not an interesting job.
Yeah. Can I say my second worst job?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Can you guess what it is?
I know you worked at a lot of coffee shops, but those weren't that bad.
Working at a coffee shop is good.
Okay, what was it?
It's the sharpshooter.
Oh, can you explain about that job?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever seen this in your country, but have you ever been to a place where somebody takes your picture and then later they try to sell you that picture? I was that guy. So we took the same pictures. It was going onto a boat in on one of the rivers in Pittsburgh.
So yours kind of like a cruise boat.
Yeah,
a river cruise.
It was very kitschy though, like not high class at all. So people, before they got on the boat, we forced them to stop and go through the line and we'd take their picture, and it was like required, but people were like, I don't want to get my picture taken.
And everyone had their own cameras and phones.
And this is,
They
mind
didn't
you,
need
this
that.
is in like 2010 where people already have like phones on their cameras and stuff. I mean, that's at least getting more popular.
Yeah, they didn't need your picture.
No. And so I had to take everybody's picture, and then when they got off the boat, I stood at the side and said, hey, come over here, buy this picture. And they were like $20 for one picture. Like,
Crazy.
A terrible ripoff. Even I knew it was a terrible ripoff. Just not a worthwhile business, at least in 2010 when I was doing that.
Yeah,
job.
maybe 10 years before that,
Yeah,
it would have been cool.
It was a viable business like 30 years ago.
But not now.
Yeah, but not anymore. So that was really bad. And one time somebody stole one of my pictures and I actually got fired from that job.
Because they stole a picture.
Because they stole a picture and I didn't catch them on times, and I was like, good riddance.
Yeah, goodbye to this job.
Yeah.
Goodbye forever.
Yeah, the only reason this was better than the other job, than dishwashing, is because I worked with some people who were funny and we got along pretty well.
And you were outside, you were by the river.
It was okay.
Except you did have to drive an hour to get there. That's crazy.
I did drive an hour to work.
You should never drive an hour to get to a
But
part-time
that was
job.
my fault. I wanted to work in Pittsburgh and I still lived. Did I live with my parents? I think I did.
I think so.
I wasn't an adult yet.
Oh. All right, well, I'm curious for you. What is the worst job that you've ever had? Let us know. And let's go to the next topic. The next topic is travel. So I want to know, what are 3 locations that you would like to visit or revisit in the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Yes.
Why just the U.S.?
Well, the world's a big place, so I had to narrow down the question somehow.
Okay. All right. The first place I'd say is the Grand Canyon. Because, of course, you have to see the Grand Canyon, right? I've never been there. I used to live in Colorado, but my family never made a trip to the Grand Canyon. And it just would be an amazing sight. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Second would be the Pacific Northwest, just in general.
Okay.
Because I've
Not
heard,
like Portland, Seattle in specific. Just
I think I would like to go to Seattle because it's a big city and the city sounds cool. Not many cities in the U.S. are that interesting to me because I've traveled in other places in Europe and in Asia, and those cities are so much more vibrant, except for New York City, which is an awesome city.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of students
Sorry, U.S.
want to visit the U.S. and they want to see these places.
But I'm also from America, so it's like
It's always less interesting.
Yeah, it's less interesting to me. But Seattle seems like a really cool town, and it's higher on my list than, say, Los Angeles, which just kind of seems like a big, sprawling, stinky place.
It seems like a lot more.
No offense, LA.
It seems a lot more intimidating, at least.
Okay,
Like-
that's a nice way to put it.
There's a lot going on there, but Seattle feels more comfortable.
Yeah, it
So
seems pretty hip, too.
the Northwest.
Yeah, so the Northwest also because there's big mountains there, and then there's really lush and green forests. And I love taking hikes. And if you go at the right time of the year, because I've heard it's very rainy in the Pacific Northwest, I'd like to go and take a nice hike up to a big mountain and maybe hop over to Canada, go to Vancouver Island.
That'd be cool.
All of that area sounds really, really cool to me.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Yes.
Let's do it
Let's do it.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe not tomorrow, but
Okay.
I think that'd be really cool.
And third would be Colorado.
So revisit Colorado.
So this is our revisit. So I used to live in Colorado. I grew up there for 5 years of my life. And it was when I was a kid, and I used to really consider it my home. But now I haven't been back in probably 15 years or so. So it's been a really long time since I've been back. And I'd like to go and maybe travel to where I was when I was a kid. It's gotten so much bigger than it was when I was a kid, so I'm sure there's so many more people there. But also there's really great nature. There's a lot of really big mountains in Colorado. There's the Garden of the Gods, which has really interesting rock formations. As you can tell, we're very nature-driven. We want to go see natural places.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my places have to do with nature too. But
yes, let's hear them.
I almost said the Grand Canyon, but
you knew what I was going to say.
I kind of figured you'd say it, and I think it would be really cool to camp in the Grand Canyon or go for a long hike in the Grand Canyon, because you can't
with 2 children?
Well, maybe when they're older. Or maybe we'll just leave them at home.
They can take it.
Because when you're looking down at the Grand Canyon, that's incredible. But I imagine going down into the Grand Canyon, that would also be just another part of that.
We'd have to hike down in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I should have mentioned that for sure.
Maybe with a donkey.
Because we're big hikers. We like to hike everywhere. So.
Yeah. Well, one of my places is kind of the opposite of yours. It's not a big city, but you said the Pacific Northwest, and I said the Northeast. So I've never been to Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, this area, and I feel like one of the best road trips would be driving all the way up the east coast of the U.S. and going around Maine and coming down through Vermont. I think all of that geography is just really different than everywhere else I've visited in the U.S. So I've heard the coasts, like the northeast coasts, are really rocky and lots of this kind of like rugged coastline that I think would be really cool to see. And the forests, I've heard the forests in Vermont are amazing. Just a different type of feel. We live in the mountains here in North Carolina, which is also a great place to visit. Yes. But we already are here. But I feel like the mountains and the forests and the coast and other places are pretty various.
Yeah, it's also close to Canada.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Gotta hop over to Quebec.
Yeah, maybe do that.
That sounds like a really cool place.
Yeah.
Vanessa speaks French, so
that'd be cool.
she'd like to speak some French to some Quebecois.
That would be fun. Well, one of my others was kind of similar to what you're saying with Colorado and that area, is going to Yosemite National Park. I feel like it's just a classic place to visit in the U.S. because there's so many national parks on the West Coast. It's kind of hard to choose, so I feel like
that one's a must.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the top 3.
Although I've heard it's gotten crazy popular.
Oh yeah,
you have to be on like lists to get in.
Whoa, really?
Maybe it's to just camp. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Your dad went through a lot of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, when they camped, they had to. I think the camping spots were opened. Say like May 3rd, the camping spots were opened and you had to go online to sign up, and the website opened, or the camping registration opened at 6 a.m. He booked at like 6:05 and there were 2 spots left. Like everyone was cramming to camp in that spot. So
camping season!
I guess it's really popular. And that was for the whole year. That wasn't just for that day. That was to book a spot to camp for that whole year. Anyway, that's crazy. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we need to book it 5 years in advance.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool to visit national parks in the West, because most tourism, well, there's a lot of city tourism in the U.S., but I feel like a lot of tourism is natural tourism.
Yeah, the meat of our tourism is
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah, because I feel like the U.S. is such a young country that we don't have Rome. We don't have these like old cities and this kind of stuff you can visit in cities. It's more nature, which is also old.
Except New York City.
Yeah, except New York's got a lot of cool stuff.
As you can tell, I'm a big fan of New York. It's just,
It's a cool place.
it's a
to
wild
visit.
animal.
Yeah.
There was like some quote about New York City. It's like,
Yeah.
you'd be crazy to live here, you'd be crazy to leave.
Oh, well, I heard another quote
Which is perfect.
that said, New York is twice as fun, but it's 3 times as expensive. So it's really fun, but it's even more expensive.
That's also true.
Especially if you live there. Well, my third and final place is, can you guess?
I don't remember.
Hawaii!
Oh, I read your list before, but I don't remember.
Well, I feel like Hawaii, it's in the U.S., but it's not.
Yeah.
It's so far away, but it's still part of the U.S.
Yeah.
And it would be incredible
It's kind of like
to visit
cheating.
Hawaii.
It's like, I'm in the U.S.
And it's so
And it's
far
like,
away from the U.S.
This isn't America. Come on.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I'm curious if you've ever been to Hawaii, if you'd recommend it. I know your parents are planning on going there next May.
And get this, my mom was like, and I booked these extra rooms just in case somebody wanted to join.
So
She like winked at us.
we will have a 2-month-old baby when they go. Maybe we'll go to Hawaii. I don't know. It's a little soon, I think.
I'm saying yes.
We'll let you know.
Let's go. You'll find out.
I think it'd be really cool to go to Hawaii just to see volcanoes and hiking and moving around and scuba diving, and it's so different.
That would be the problem. Trying to do all we want to do. But if my parents are there,
They can watch
they
our
can
kids.
watch the kids.
So we're going to crash their vacation and
Yes!
make them watch our kids
Yes!
while we go have fun.
Vacation crashers.
Sounds great. So I'm curious for you, what are some locations that you'd like to visit in the U.S., or maybe somewhere that you've already been that you'd like to go back to? Let us know. Let's go on to the next topic. The next topic is food. So I want to know, what are some of your favorite foods specifically to cook at home?
To cook at home.
Not to eat out, not that someone else makes, but that we cook at home.
Yes, usually I go for bulk items.
Okay.
Not bulk items, bulk meals. Something that I can eat for days and days and days.
Or you can put it in the freezer and have the next week.
This is a very, I think, a male way to think about it. You gotta make a bulk and make it last.
Utilitarian cooking.
Yes. Although, you're kind of similar, I think.
I don't like making a new meal every single day.
Yeah.
If we have a soup that's in the freezer that we made the week before, that's great. Save some time.
Sure, yeah. So, the first thing I like to make, I think we have the same one,
Oh, yeah?
is chili.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we both like to make chili.
Yeah. Some
Usually,
people call this chili con carne in other countries, but in the U.S. we just say chili.
usually I make the chili, so I mean it's so easy to make. You just ground up some beef, and then you chop a bunch of vegetables, add a ton of spices, throw it in a pot and make it boil, and it's done.
Yeah, it's great. And it gets even better as it kind of melds those flavors together over a couple days.
You throw in some cheese and sour cream and some kind of grain, some rice or something. And yeah, it's always very satisfying. It reminds me of fall and winter. It's a very nice, cozy meal.
Hot tip. Don't leave it on your counter for 3 days and then try to eat it. It should always go in the fridge after you eat it. Dan did that in college and got sick.
I didn't leave it on the counter. My roommate left the chili out.
And you just ate it?
Yeah, he left the pot out. It was already like, this is college life here. It was already probably a week old. and he left it on the counter all day.
Not a
and
good
he didn't
idea.
tell me, and then I went and ate it that night, and then I got really sick.
But you still like chili, so
But I still like
It
chili.
didn't taint your idea of chili.
Probably did for like a year.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like we're especially thinking about
TMI?
thinking about those types of foods because it's getting colder here. So making lots of warm, hearty foods as opposed to
yes.
in July, we don't make chili because it's so hot.
Yeah.
You make other kinds of
I have
fresh
trouble
things.
making summer food because I like hot food.
Like
Although-
soups and that kind of stuff.
When we lived in South Korea, I think, didn't they have something where they eat something super hot in the summer?
I think like
It's
hot
like,
or
I'm
spicy.
just eating and you're
that-
sweating and the water's pouring off your face and, yeah, this is healthy! It's a very Korean thing.
Wow.
You
Well,
gotta be diligent.
what are some of your other favorite foods? You said
Oh.
chili. We're on the first one.
Number 2 would be tacos.
Oh.
I got a Mexican food thing, I think. Although I don't consider chili Mexican food. But you said chili con carne, so
Maybe.
maybe it's Mexican inspired.
Yeah. What kind of tacos do you like to make? Because there's
So-
so many different types.
Ground beef again, just all the spices, and it's kind of one of those like easy things to make, and then you compile all kinds of toppings. You can put salsa on it. Yeah, it's just delicious.
I like when you make fish tacos.
Yeah, fish tacos are good too.
So sometimes when Dan makes fish tacos, or sometimes I make them too, we get some kind of white fish like cod or tilapia and bread it and then bake it so it's baked, and then you have some kind of cabbage slaw with mixed up on top with some spices in it, and you put that on the tortilla with the fish with the kind of spicy cabbage, maybe slices of avocado.
Yeah, the mayo.
Yeah, some mayo, maybe
Spicy
some
mayo.
pico de gallo, some salsa on top. That's also great. We make that a lot in the summer because that is kind of a fresh
Yeah.
type of thing.
Well, speaking of fish,
Yes?
my third would be salmon.
Oh, how do you like to make salmon?
Well, I think you can make it in a lot of different ways, but just throw it in the oven with some, like lately we've been adding lemon slices and dill, and just keeping it basic.
Sometimes we
Oh, and
put
butter.
Oh, butter. Of course, butter.
That's important.
Sometimes we do it in the opposite way with soy sauce and sesame oil, kind
You
of
do it that way.
more Asian style,
Yeah.
and that's also great with rice.
I
and
do it
some kind
more
of veggie.
European style.
Yeah, well, I think you can't go wrong with salmon.
Yeah, but it's just a very healthy meal that tastes very filling and
Yeah.
fulfilling.
I think your answers have been much more varied than mine
Oh, yeah?
because I was going to say soup, soup, and soup.
Oh.
I think that, especially now because it's the beginning of winter, those are the types of things that we like to eat. But recently I've been making a lot of butternut squash soup, and it's a type of squash, and you just peel it and then you chop it up and you steam it with some cumin and paprika and coconut milk.
It's a nice
and
appetizer.
red peppers, and you can also maybe dip some bread in it after it's mixed together because you have to blend it. It's really great. It feels kind of cleansing, especially if you've eaten.
It's not filling enough to me.
It's nice to have with something else.
I need
sometimes.
some meat in my life.
Typical answer, right? I think we also made a really great, it's called Italian vegetable soup, but I don't know if it's actually Italian. I don't know why it's considered Italian.
Probably Italian American.
Yeah.
Everything Americans say is Italian. I bet you every Italian out there is like, that is not Italian.
Yeah, that,
What is this?
that is not
that
an
Italian?
Italian accent. But that's okay. But I feel like
Zucchero.
that is...
Oh, that's French.
That's certainly not Italian. So when we make the Italian vegetable soup, it's basically every vegetable you can imagine mixed in a pot, even with some tomatoes and cabbage and everything, peppers and everything mixed together, and some ground beef. And so it kind of has like a hearty, beefy flavor, but it also has a lot of vegetables, so it feels healthy and filling with some nice bread to dip it in.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Although I will say that you can probably tell from this conversation that we are not chefs.
No.
We don't prepare like really good meals very often. I mean, they're
fancy.
delicious, but they don't have like, I don't know, what's a sous vide or something.
Oh, something that's really exciting. Well,
although I did make risotto.
Oh,
that was really good.
You've made risotto a lot.
I made some really good risotto, and I felt like it took a lot of work, and that was fun.
I think it took some particular attention to detail.
You use lemon zest. Anytime you use lemon zest, I feel like you're probably crossing over to chef territory.
Ah, okay. Well, you have crossed over into chef territory a few times. I remain clearly on the other side, just happily eating whatever you make. But I'm curious for you, what are some of your favorite foods to eat at home? What are some of your favorite foods to make at home? Maybe it's something that comes from your country, or maybe it's just something that you like to make, like toast, something simple. Let us know. Yes. All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is housing. I want you to dream big. If you could have your dream home, what 3 features would it have? So let's say this is a dream home. This is idealistic. This is not realistic.
Probably not going to happen to us.
No, but it's just a dream. Everyone can dream, right? So what would you ideally love to have?
A palace! A castle!
Hopefully you can hire some people to clean it at that point.
So the features of the home.
Yes, what 3 features would you love to have if you could dream and build your own home?
Okay. Well, first I would want the living room. And I don't know, is a living room common in other countries?
Yeah, a place where you have a couch.
Just where you gather together, where you have the couch and where you visit with friends. I would like this room to be humongous and have a really large window.
Are we talking like soccer field size humongous? Or are we talking like twice as big as
I'm talking football stadium big.
Okay.
Yeah, just large. Large ceilings, vaulted ceilings, as they say in the industry.
Okay.
And a very large window.
Okay.
Or large windows.
I said the same thing. I'd like a main room with a big window.
Yes, but there's more.
Okay.
And it needs a great view, an incredible view.
Oh, what's a good view for you? What would be your ideal view?
I really love looking out at the ocean. That would be great. I'm not a big fan of where I live on the east coast of America. The beaches are all kind of the same to me. They're not my favorite. This would be like in the Mediterranean on a big like cliff.
Oh, so it wouldn't
cliffside
be in the U.S. Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be in the U.S. Sorry, U.S. Maybe somewhere in the U.S. I don't know.
Could be Pacific Northwest.
Maybe
You've never been there.
Northwest.
You don't know.
Maybe that's my kind of ocean view.
Yeah. So you'd like an ocean view.
And it'd be really high. Looking down on my kingdom.
So you need to be a king too?
I have to be a king in this scenario.
Getting a little excessive.
So yeah, a really big open ocean view. Remember, this is dreaming.
This is dreaming. All right, keep dreaming. What else would you like?
All right, so it's very open. So close by would be a very epic open kitchen.
Oh, so open, you mean it's connected to the living space?
This is popular, I think, nowadays in architecture. Yeah, so open to the living room.
So as you're cooking, you can still talk to your guests.
Yeah, at least part of the kitchen would be visible.
Yeah, so at the moment, our kitchen is open to the living room.
Yes, we have this now.
We don't have an epic,
Except
giant living room with a view of the Mediterranean.
And a big kitchen.
Yes, but we have an open space, so it's kind of like one room. Our kitchen is connected to our living space, so when our guests or our friends or our family or our kids are in the living space, the living room, we can see them and still kind of interact. So this type of layout is pretty popular, at least in newer houses, or as people remodel their houses, they're kind of looking for this open layout, is what it's called.
Called an open floor plan.
Open floor plan, that's the word, yeah. So anything else you would like in this amazing house?
Yes, there's one more thing.
Okay.
In my palace.
Okay, in your kingdom.
In my kingdom. So there would be a game room. Because I love games.
Okay.
A lot.
What kind of games?
So we actually rented a place like this that was very similar.
Oh, I like your grandparents.
Actually, my grandma rented it. It was a beach house, so it was like 4 layers of house.
That's crazy.
It was humongous. It was called the Ritz, which is like a fancy thing. And so the very top floor of this building was just this giant game room. It had a pool table. It had a
ping pong.
Oh, that was the ping pong table was somewhere else. But in my palace, the ping pong table would be in the same room.
Ping pong, foosball, pool.
Other games too, chess. Yeah, there'd be all
board game
games.
Cabinets.
There'd be a TV with video games. It'd just be fun everywhere.
Okay, so you want
and then I'd have to lock it up so I didn't go in because I'd spend all my time in there.
Okay. So you'd have to request the key from one of
You.
the people. From me? Okay.
Gatekeeper, let me in the game room.
I'm sorry to say, but in my dream home,
There's no game room?
there is not a game room. Although it's a fun idea. It's a good idea.
Save that for the vacation home.
Yeah, that's good if your grandparents rent a house for a week and invite all the family.
Perfect.
That's a good thing to have, but maybe not in my forever house.
Okay, what's your forever dream home?
Well, I did say I'd like a main room with a big window. I think that'd be really great. So we have some...
But what's your ideal view?
Well, I didn't really say. I feel like it doesn't have to be the beach. Maybe not someone else's house right there, but it could be the mountains. That would be nice.
Sure.
But I also like...
Any kind of picturesque...
I don't like to be isolated. So if you have a beautiful mountain view, that means you probably live in the middle of the mountains away from everybody.
It's true.
So I don't mind if the view's not perfect, but I just like to have a big window with lots of lights. That'd be really great. The other thing that I said is a little more practical, and that is a huge studio room with different walls that I can film on.
Very practical.
So I can make...
For the Fearless Fluency Club.
Yes.
Oh, wait, and for YouTube.
Yes, so for our course, the Fearless Fluency Club, and also for YouTube, having different locations where I can easily film. And the room where we often film videos in here, it's okay. It's not super small, but I have an image of
It's pretty small.
4 different walls with different backgrounds and different things, and I can move the lights and easily have different locations to film. I think that would be really cool. So I'm starting out small. We have this room, and then maybe someday in my dream home.
Yeah, this is way better than our other house.
Oh yeah, where we used to live in the apartment.
She used to film in a closet.
It wasn't a closet, but it was really small.
2 closets combined.
Yeah, it was like a little triangle
small.
room, but...
Hey, we made it work.
Yeah, it worked. We made it work. And the other feature that I would like is, in a dream home, is a roof deck.
That's cool.
Yeah, so some stairs and then a little roof
This is the adventure in Vanessa speaking.
on the top, so you can look down
But that's in my
everywhere.
house too.
Oh, it's in your house?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Maybe we can have a house together. And also at night, you could lay up there and see the stars. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah,
so you
that
could
would
have
be neat.
a perfect place
I don't know
to
why more
stargaze.
houses don't have this.
Yeah, we should just put a deck on the top of
Yeah,
our house.
Why not?
Yeah.
Maybe some architect out there has a reason. Well, actually, it's bad for structural integrity.
I think that people just don't value stargazing like we do.
Maybe.
It's really cool to see the stars at night, and especially if you just have a perfect view from a rooftop
You're
deck.
perched in a high place.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Well, it was nice to dream. Thanks for dreaming with
Yep.
me.
Oh, dream's over.
Yeah, I'm curious for you. If you could have your dream home, what features would you like in that home? All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is nature.
Nature!
I want to know what are 2 cool facts about animals or nature.
You want to know 2 facts?
Yeah, so we did a little bit of research before this because we love watching animal documentaries.
Okay, well, I have a story behind my first factoid.
Okay.
So, one time I was talking to my mom. I don't remember how this came up, but we were talking about turtles. And I don't know why we were talking about turtles, but she said, "Did you know that turtles breathe through their butts?" My mom said this, and we, for days, we were like, "Mom, turtles, where did you hear that? That is
Were you a kid?
That was like, no, I was older.
Okay.
Probably a teenager, I guess.
Okay.
But me and my siblings, we all just made fun of her. We're like, "Mom, you just made that up. Where on earth did you hear that?" But really, it's actually true. A turtle can breathe through its butt.
What?
It's true.
Wait, why do they do this?
Okay, so it's when they're hibernating. So I looked it up to verify because
okay.
I remember hearing that actually was true.
Uh-huh.
So in the winter, it gets really cold, obviously, and they live underwater. So it's like really cold, it's almost freezing, and they can't use their lungs. So they basically suck water up their butts, and the water gives them oxygen.
Oh,
Therefore,
why?
they breathe through their butts in the winter when they're hibernating.
Wow, and your mom was right.
So my mom was right, but we did not believe her when she said that.
I mean, it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
So why would you believe her?
It was very random of her. She was like, "Don't turtles breathe through their butts?" And we're like, "Mom, you just made that up. There's no way."
But it's true.
But
so
it's
this
true.
is turtles who specifically live in the water, not box turtles or those types of things.
No. Yeah, turtles, but not ocean turtles either.
Okay, so just ones that live in fresh water
Yes.
and live in the water. Oh, okay.
This is tell your friends.
Oh.
Turtles breathe through their butts.
Before you get to your second fact, I'm going to share one of mine,
Okay.
which is amazing about butterflies and caterpillars. We recently,
We're like a nature documentary now.
well, I included this because
Should we talk like David Attenborough?
I feel really nerdy about animals. Yeah, if you've ever seen nature documentaries by BBC, David Attenborough is one of the main commentators. He's been a staple of nature documentaries for over a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, maybe the 70s. So we are big fans of his work. But I included this topic because we're nerdy about animals and nature and like that stuff, and I thought it would be fun to talk about.
Sure.
But a couple months ago, we found 4 monarch butterfly caterpillars in our backyard. And they didn't look so good. They looked like they needed a little bit of help. So we gave them some milkweed leaves, which is what monarch butterflies eat, or monarch caterpillars eat. And we put them in this, like a butterfly net. It's like a little container where you can grow butterflies.
Grow and release.
Yes, and so we put the caterpillars in there, gave them a lot of leaves, and they turned into cocoons. And then 2 of them died, but 2 of them became butterflies. It was really amazing. So that kind of sparked my interest in learning more about that. We kind of all know, caterpillars become butterflies, but did you know that a caterpillar, when it creates a cocoon, it will liquefy its body. It's like a soup inside the cocoon, and it is digesting, it's eating itself inside the cocoon, and its DNA just kind of mixes around and becomes a butterfly.
Yeah, so it's not like wrapping a blanket around itself.
No.
Because
it's crazy.
Usually when I thought of a cocoon, you would think that the caterpillar spins something around itself. But no, it's literally liquefying its body on the inside and then turning into, I believe the technical term is a pupa.
A pupa. Yes, so inside, when it actually makes that cocoon, so we saw this happen where the cocoon pops out of the caterpillar's body and the skin and the head pop off and they fall into the ground because...
Kind of like a Halloween story.
It is! It's pretty horrific.
This is almost Halloween.
And inside the cocoon is the liquified soup of the butterfly.
And his body liquefied and it turned into a terrible creature.
How did nature think that this would work? But it does. It's amazing. Wow. So that's my first cool fact about nature.
Cool nature factoid.
Yes. Caterpillar soup.
Alright, my second is about the noble albatross.
Albatross are so cool.
Although if you say something is an albatross, that kind of means it's a bad thing or like a burden. It's like a saying.
That's kind of like an old-fashioned like expression. But
anyways, my factoid
is
an albatross has the longest wingspan of any bird. Did you know that? Almost 12 feet long, or 3.2 meters, something like that.
3 meters is so long. So that means from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other wing is 3 meters.
Yeah,
12
it's
feet.
a really huge bird.
One bird!
And actually, if you've ever watched any David Attenborough documentaries,
or others,
we watched one with the albatross. It needs to take a really long run before it flies because its wings are so huge.
Like a huge airplane, it needs a lot of runway to get off.
But there's a lot of other animals. What was it in the documentary that was trying to get them?
It was the babies.
Oh, sharks!
Yes.
Because they would crash in the water and the sharks would eat them.
When the babies were first learning how to fly, a lot of them crash in the water, and I think they do it the same time every year. So sharks gather there.
They wait for the babies.
And as the babies are learning to fly, if they fail on their first try, that's it.
Yeah. They can't make it.
Anyway, that was a really sad part of the documentary.
Once they actually get in the air, an albatross can stay in the air for up to 10,000 miles, which is a lot of kilometers.
6,000? 7,000?
Yeah, we're not so good with those conversions that everybody else uses.
Yeah, dude. And I remember you also told me that they could fly
a day.
A whole day with just one
flap
if
of
they
their
have
wings.
the right wind, because they go off into the ocean.
It requires good wind.
Yeah.
Because they just use the wind to bounce up and down.
So they only need to flap their wings one time per day.
It'd be a very lonely existence, just flying over the ocean.
But talking about lonely, they also mate for life.
That's lonely?
Well, no, that's crazy because most birds are not like that. So they go off alone into the ocean to hunt, and then once a year they come back to the same place and they hope that their husband or wife, their mate, has survived also.
And then they promptly cheat on them.
Well, they are not monogamous. But
they have partners that they regularly come back to, but then they also, go and flirt with other birds.
Other birds as well. But they have the same main partner for their whole lives, and they only see them once a year, but they find each other at on the same rock, on the same land, every albatross.
They greet
really
each other.
Yeah.
Kisses.
Yeah, you should look up some videos about albatross. They're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of my other cool facts.
What's your last fact?
My last cool fact is about a mantis shrimp. So
the mantis shrimp.
We think about shrimp as the thing that we eat, but the mantis shrimp is really different. I'll show you a picture here. The mantis shrimp is an insane animal. It has the best visual senses of any animal, including humans. So I looked this up to make sure I could explain it correctly. Humans have 3 photoreceptors in our eyes. How many do you think the mantis shrimp have?
10.
12 to 16.
Whoa.
So this means they can see infrared, they can see ultraviolet, they can see every possible thing that's coming through the light spectrum.
Basically, thank God it's not huge and lives on land, because it would kill us.
Yes, and it can also punch through. It has this.
Look at those hands like this.
Yes, they're like this. It can punch through bulletproof glass that is 1 centimeter thick. So it's almost impossible to keep a mantis shrimp in an aquarium because they're so strong. It's just a shrimp. They're small, but it can punch through bulletproof glass, and most aquariums don't have bulletproof glass. It's less than that.
Why not?
But it will punch through the glass and get out. So they can see everything, and they also can punch through the glass, which is absolutely insane. There's a lot of really cool videos.
And they look cool too.
Yeah, colors and their big eyes.
Beautiful. You should share the comic about it too. There's a popular comic in America called The Oatmeal.
It's a website.
Yeah, it's a website. Mm-hmm. And they have a whole story about the mantis shrimp.
Yeah, there's a good YouTube video too about the mantis shrimp. I think who's that guy who does kind of funny stuff about animals? He's like, that's how the mantis shrimp do.
Oh, Z Frank.
Z Frank.
Look up Z Frank.
Just look up
for a good laugh.
Mantis shrimp on YouTube. You'll find many great things because those animals are so cool. All right, we had a chance to be nerdy. Let's go on to the next topic. And I want to know for you, do you know any cool animal facts? Yeah. All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is holidays. And it is the end of November-ish, which is Thanksgiving time in the U.S. So I want to know, in your experience, what is Thanksgiving like in the U.S.?
In the U.S., well, it's pretty much just an American holiday, right?
Yeah.
Or Canadian, I suppose.
Canada also has Thanksgiving.
Yes, so for Thanksgiving, the primary thing that we do is eat food.
Okay, next
the
topic.
End.
Oh yeah, this is pretty much all about
it's
food.
It's really all about the food, especially turkey.
So tell us about food on Thanksgiving.
So pretty much everybody gets a turkey.
A big, full
there must
bird.
be like this huge spike in turkey sales.
Oh yeah.
In November in the U.S. But everybody gets a turkey. You cook the whole turkey, and you get gravy, and you pour it on there. And there's something called stuffing as well, which is this like bread pudding kind of thing.
Yeah, well, you have it inside the turkey. Usually you cook some seasonings and lemons and breads and all different types of things.
Some may
inside
argue
the turkey
that the stuffing is better than the turkey.
Yeah, sometimes
I'm one
it
of
is.
those people.
Stuffing is
I
great.
just eat the
It's
stuffing.
really full of turkey juices. So it's kind of like a breaded mixture. I'll try to share a picture. But
So
stuffing, turkey.
the holiday is really just centered around the meal, and then you invite lots of family over.
Yes. It
And
is
usually, like, one family member will host a lot of family,
Yeah.
I find. And sometimes friends as well, but like your dad has been doing friends for the last few years.
Yeah.
But traditionally, it's only family.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely more a family holiday, that you say goodbye to your friends, go back home wherever you came from. If you live far away from your parents, maybe you'll go back home and have Thanksgiving at their home, or maybe they'll come visit you. It's kind of a time for families to come back together during Thanksgiving.
And if you are a very bonded family, then you always say what you're thankful for.
Oh.
So every year, my family would always say something they're thankful for around the table. And usually when I was a kid, I remember being like,
I don't want to do this.
I don't want. But now I'm like, I'm thankful for everybody and everything in my family. It's so beautiful. Get a little more sentimental when you get older.
Well, back to the food. We're kind of talking about the traditions now, but back to the food. The typical things are a big turkey bird, a full bird. You don't have just slices of turkey. You have the full bird and then you cut it up.
Yeah.
And then stuffing. Green beans is common with gravy, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes. In the south of the U.S., sweet potato casserole is really big. This is insane.
With brown sugar on it.
It's insanely sweet because it's sweet potatoes, which are like orange and already pretty sweet naturally. Then brown sugar and
Marshmallows,
then
right?
marshmallows
Oh,
for dinner.
I forgot about that.
Crazy. But
I always eat like this much of that because it's too sweet.
it's really rich, but that's kind of a southern thing. And you also always have cranberry sauce.
Right.
Cranberry is a really tart berry. It's so tart, it's really sour, but when you mix it with a lot of sugar, it's great.
And you need mashed potatoes.
Yeah, so the cranberries and the mashed potatoes and the turkey, it's a perfect combination. That kind of tart flavors with the mashed potatoes, with the turkey, kind of mixes together really great.
Yeah, basically the point is to eat so much you can barely move at the end of the day.
Well, they do say that turkey, the turkey meat, has some kind of...
Tryptophan.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
That kind of enzyme in it? Isn't it enzyme? Hormone or
chemical?
It has something in the meat naturally that makes you feel sleepy. So at Thanksgiving, that's really one of the only times when we eat turkey. So because we eat so much turkey, it's kind of stereotypical to say after the Thanksgiving meal, everyone crashes on the couch and watches football. So it's kind of a
football is
tradition.
Probably the most American aspect of this.
Yeah.
They don't really play football in other countries.
Well,
do
this
they?
is American.
Not
American football.
not real football like not kicking the ball.
Soccer.
Football like we throw the ball and we tackle each other. And stuff.
So there's always a an American football game on Thanksgiving. So that's why some of the sayings about Thanksgiving is the 3 F's: family, food, football. And when I was growing up, my family would eat Thanksgiving, and then we often would go to the living room and watch football together, even though we weren't big football fans. It's kind of just
tradition.
What you do. So we would say what we were thankful
the
for.
American religion.
And then watch football. And that's just kind of a family time together. I don't know. Did you guys ever do anything? Sometimes we threw football in the backyard.
A few years we would throw the football.
Yeah.
Our family didn't watch that much football.
Yeah.
We would sometimes, just like the Super Bowl, That's all.
Yeah. So I'm curious for you in your country, do you have any fall meal holiday that's really centered around food?
Yeah, we should also say, I think it's supposed to also traditionally be you feast on all the food that you grew.
Yeah, but most people are not farmers
Yeah.
nowadays.
But I think traditionally it does have that element of the harvest is in. We come and eat all this delicious food. It was a good year.
Thankful for the good harvest.
We're thankful for the good harvest. So maybe a lot of countries have something like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next topic. The next topic is relaxation. So I want to know, if I were feeling stressed, what tips would you give me to help me feel relaxed?
If you're feeling stressed,
Yeah.
well, I don't know if this would work for everyone, but I find that playing a sport or doing something active that requires some concentration really helps me not be stressed. Like if I'm concerned about something, I like to go and maybe play some basketball, where your only goal is to put the ball in the hoop. It's just something very simple, and you're using your body, which is different from how a lot of people live today, which is very stationary and thinking about all kinds of problems, and then looking at your phone and reading about more problems. Everything's a big problem, it seems like.
So if you get out and move your body,
So if you get out and you move
real
your body,
world,
yeah, and it could just be a hike, hike or something. But yeah, I like to go and play basketball or maybe play some hockey. I like to do that too. Just shoot the puck around. It's a lot
some
of
kind
fun.
of like organized activity.
Yeah.
Like shooting hoops, playing hockey.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be with people. Just practicing, doing some kind of routine like that.
I said something similar, which is just to go for a walk. Because that's not necessarily organized, but sometimes getting out of the place where I'm at, getting out of the house, getting out of wherever I'm feeling stressed, just changing locations and having the open sky.
Just getting outside.
Breathing some cool air or maybe really hot air, depending on what time of the year it is.
That's true. It depends on where you live.
Yeah.
Outside might be a little too hot or too cold.
But it's just nice to kind of remove yourself and move and take a walk.
Yes.
Even say, okay, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes and I'm going to turn around and walk 5 minutes back. Sometimes 10 minutes can make a big difference. At least it can help me feel more relaxed, or at least more realistic about my stress. Like if something's stressing me, maybe I shouldn't really be stressed about it. So taking a walk helps me to kind of recenter myself and think it's not a big deal, it's fine, I'll just work it out.
Okay. And the next thing I would do is take a shower.
Oh, okay.
Well, I take nighttime showers, so I don't know. I just find for me when I'm getting clean and I'm not really, I'm like, it's kind of that same thing. I'm just like washing my arms, washing my hair. And I find my mind kind of drifting and it's like nice and warm. I don't know. For me, maybe most people probably would say taking a bath. But I don't really like to take a bath, but
taking a shower. I've heard too that like when you're taking a shower, sometimes that's when your best ideas happen because you have no stimulation. There's nothing around you. You're just in the shower. So your mind can really be blank or you can really kind of decompress in a different way. I feel like that too. Taking a shower feels good.
Nice warm shower. And then finally, sleeping.
Yes.
Going to sleep, getting good enough sleep. I mean, especially nowadays where everybody has some kind of electronics device where you're staring at a screen. I think that doesn't really help your stress levels go down.
Don't watch this video at 2 a.m. If it's 2 a.m. in the morning,
stop watching.
Turn it off.
Go to bed.
You can watch this in the morning.
So yeah, that would be the last thing I would do to lower the stress in my life and relax.
Yeah, I think getting good sleep is a really good tip. That was one of the ones that I wrote down. Is just,
so we share a few.
Yeah, to get better sleep, because sometimes I feel like we want to blame other parts of our lives when we feel stressed, but when you look at the basics, have I been eating healthy? Did I drink enough water today? And the main one, did I sleep enough? Probably not. At least in my case, if I feel stressed or anxious, a lot of that's because my body can't handle what's happening in daily life because I haven't been treating myself well. So if I sleep better, whether that's consistent sleep or a longer period of sleep, just doing that will help me to feel less stressed during the day.
It is situational though. Some people need more or less sleep than other people.
Yeah, so that's why I said get better sleep.
Better sleep.
Whatever is better for you. But one thing I mentioned that you didn't say, you kind of said, but is to take a tech break. And a tech break, we often use this term in our relationship to say, today we're just gonna put away our phones, we're not gonna do anything with any electronics today at all. And it seems like it's a simple, easy thing to do, but it feels good just to take a little break, especially if that is stressing you out, or if you're kind of avoiding dealing with problems by looking at your phone. I think a lot of us use social media or reading articles.
Phones and tablets are really bad.
Yeah,
I think,
to get
because they're
distracted.
so easy to pick up and just keep using.
Yeah.
And there's little games and YouTube, which you may be on right now.
Yes. I find
Keep
myself,
watching.
when I feel stressed, sometimes I don't want to think about it, so I'll watch a YouTube video. And then 30 minutes later, I'll realize I still feel stressed.
10 YouTube videos later.
Oh, yeah, or maybe for this one, it's a couple hours later.
Hey, I have a bonus tip.
Oh, bonus tip!
Yeah,
All right,
bonus
what's
tip.
your bonus tip?
So, I don't really meditate, but I've heard meditation is very great for de-stressing.
I'm curious if any of you have tried meditation.
So I would also recommend meditating. But for me, I actually tried something that was kind of similar. I counted my breaths. So this was actually kind of to help me fall asleep. But a lot of times I can't fall asleep because I'm thinking about the day and feeling stressed.
Can't turn your mind off.
So basically the idea that I heard was to breathe in for 10 seconds.
Okay.
No. Breathe in for 5 seconds, then breathe out for 10 seconds.
Oh.
So you're kind of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and just like only thinking about your breaths.
Okay.
You know, it really kind of puts the focus somewhere else, and you're breathing in deeply, which a lot of us do not breathe in deeply, so it helps you to breathe in more deeply and concentrate on your breathing.
Yeah, I heard that one of the side effects of using a computer a lot or a phone a lot is that when they study people who are looking at a screen, we blink less.
What?
So our eyes are open, they're getting kind of red and dry, and our breathing increases. So we're kind of
Just like shallow?
yeah, we're just not focused. Maybe feel a little bit of stress, or we're just not focused, slow, and like
On our bodies.
relaxed. Yeah, so those long-term effects, if you're doing that for several hours a day without thinking about it, it can affect your body. So breathing, slowly can help to kind of help you feel less stress.
There you go.
Wow.
That's my most practical tip.
Bonus tip. So I'm curious for you, what are some tips you would give to help someone feel less stress in their life, to feel more relaxed? what would you say? All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is sports and exercise. So I want to know, when you were a kid, what kind of sports or activities did you participate in?
Man, I played a lot of sports.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think it kind of shows like the privilege we grew up in, that we had so many opportunities to try so many different
I
things.
was really lucky to be able to do that kind of stuff.
So first I started out with baseball, but it was called T-ball. So you actually put the ball on a tee and you put the ball there and you just hit it off of
So
it.
no one's throwing the ball.
Yeah,
It's just
I was
stationary.
really and I actually remember when the coaches started pitching to me, I got kind of scared of the ball and I didn't want to play anymore.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I was really little, so I stopped playing that and I started playing soccer and swimming as well. So you call it probably football in your country, but it's interesting. Many children play soccer in America.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
very common.
easy to get into because you just are running and kicking a
Sure.
ball. There's no equipment or specialized movements.
Right.
At least for kids.
But for some reason, it's not a popular sport to watch.
Or for adults.
Yeah.
A lot of adults don't play
Adults
soccer.
don't play soccer that much. It's just children.
Yeah.
But I played soccer for probably like 6 years.
Oh,
And then I never played it again. Yeah.
just as a kid.
Yep. And so I did that, and I did swimming and gymnastics for a while. I had a phase where I used to like to do a lot of flips. So I would jump on the trampoline and do backflips and front flips.
In like a gymnasium that's like
Yeah.
a gymnastics
But
center.
also in my backyard, we had a trampoline.
Cool.
So I would do that, and then I did figure skating where we were doing spinning and stuff.
I did figure skating too.
Yes. And then my brother convinced me to take up a more manly sport, hockey.
Oh, it's a shame. You probably would have been really good at figure skating.
Yeah, I was all right, but,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that's the kind of thing
It wasn't my true love.
like hockey.
That would be hockey.
Well, I'm glad that you found your true love,
I do love hockey, but I don't really have the build for it. I'm a little too small. But I still had a lot of fun playing hockey.
Yeah, and you still play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
You play on a team here in our city. I feel like as a kid,
That's all of my sports.
you had a lot of organized sports as a kid. And maybe that's just because you have an older brother or just something that you wanted to do. But I feel like for
I think
me...
my dad thought it was good for me too. Which I think is true. It's good for kids to get into organized sports.
Sure. I feel like for me as a kid, I didn't do team sports as much. Like, we just played in the backyard a lot.
Weren't you kind of a timid child too?
I wouldn't say I was timid, but I didn't like physical contact with other kids. So basketball for me was really physically aggressive.
Too rough.
Yeah, a little too rough. I didn't really like that.
You should
but
try hockey.
That's very rough. But I loved swimming, so I think that swimming was probably the main sport of my childhood. And through high school, every summer my sister and I were on a swim team, and that meant that every day, twice a day, we would go to swim practice.
Vanessa's a really good swimmer.
And
She can kick my butt.
not literally, that is a figurative expression that means I can swim better than Dan, which is true.
It's true.
But it just means that I know the technique, and if Dan or you
I'm out there like,
if you know the
struggling.
right technique, you can have a lot of endurance because you're not wasting your energy. So I feel like I learned the right technique, so I can swim longer because I know the right technique because I practiced it a lot. So we would always swim, and then we'd have swim competitions, which are called swim meets, and that was a fun part of my childhood growing up, was swimming. It's kind of a team thing, but not really. You have a team, but you're still
So like
individual.
combined scores. Is that how it
Well,
works?
you're part of the community team, like your community, your neighborhood is the team, but then each person has an individual score. So it's kind of a team, kind of individual, and I liked that. And it was not physically aggressive.
That would make me so nervous.
Yeah.
These individual sports, like, I feel the pressure way too much. If I were swimming and
Yeah.
racing, I'd be like so scared. But when I play a sport like basketball, you're on a team, and so, you know, you're kind of like depending on each other more. It's not all up to you.
Yeah.
Although if you make a big mistake, then everybody's looking at you.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
Yeah, I feel like I like having a team, but at the same time, I like having kind of your own thing going on. You can kind of be more individualistic. So
Yeah.
I'm curious for you. Growing up, did you play organized sports like Dan? I also did some volleyball in high school, those types of things, kind of organized sports. But did you play organized sports like that, or did you just play with your friends in the neighborhood like I did growing up with my friends in the neighborhood? What kind of activities or exercise type things did you do when you were a child? All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is electronics. This is another hypothetical, maybe a dream type question, but I want to know if you could upgrade any electronics in your life for no price, it's free, what would you like to upgrade in your life?
Interesting. See, I feel like I'm pretty satisfied with our electronic status.
Oh, okay.
Electronics status.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you know me. I already upgrade my electronics quite freely.
Dan likes electronics.
I do, especially like speakers and music. I love music, so I buy a lot of headphones and a lot of speakers and stuff like this, and every time I'm about to buy something like that, she looks at me like, why are you buying another thing like this? I haven't bought too much. But
yeah, it's not
I
too
just
much,
tend to
but-
like browse, and sometimes I look at these humongous speakers that would fill like an opera room or something, and I'm like, these would be awesome to have.
And then I need to remind Dan that we don't live in a house the size of a football field like
But in
his
my dream house,
Someday when we have that dream house,
it will
right?
have those speakers.
So
yes.
what would you like to upgrade if you
what
could
would-
do it for no price?
Yeah, so right now it would be a laptop.
Oh yeah, your laptop just broke.
Yeah, so our son Theo decided to step on my laptop, and it still actually works pretty well, but it snapped in half. So
Yeah.
somehow it's still working, but it's old anyways.
Yeah, it's his fault, but you know, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have left it on the floor.
So I'll probably update my laptop soon, which is a very doable thing nowadays.
Okay, yeah, you could get a laptop that isn't broken in half.
Yeah. And the second thing is actually something we've never had before, which would be a security system.
Oh.
So it sounds like you would only want this in like a neighborhood where you
You feel kind of
feel
dangerous.
like you're in danger.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it would just kind of add comfort to me.
Okay.
We've always lived in like apartments where they had like a gate or a front door where,
You have other people around.
and you have other people around you. You're not like just like such a solo target. Because in America, you're just living in like a house in a neighborhood, and it's like standalone. So I'd like to get some like cameras and something I could check on the house and make sure everything's okay. And just for peace of mind, mostly.
Okay, yeah, I feel like our neighborhood's not dangerous
It's
at
very
all.
safe, yeah.
But even if you leave to go away for a week and you want to be able to see outside the house, that could be helpful.
Yeah, and in modern times, there's a lot of really good security systems out there.
Yeah, that could be helpful. I feel like For me, my answer to this is...
This shows how much Vanessa cares about electronics.
I had to think about this for a long time because I don't really care about electronics.
I always
that much.
choose the electronics. I bought her computer. I actually built her computer.
Yeah, Dan built the computer that we use for editing and for doing work. But I feel like for me, something electronics that I would like to upgrade is kind of practical. Our car that we have, you use a key to open it, and that's fine.
What? Do you use a key?
It would be really great to have a beeper button. So this is pretty typical.
This is funny because everybody in America has this, except for us.
I think if your car is newer than 2000, so if it's within the last 20 years, you probably have a beeper that opens the car door. Some really new cars have a beeper that turns on the car. I don't need that. I just would like a beeper that can open the door because we have a 2-year-old and soon we will have another child, and opening the car on one side, going to the other, putting him in the car, coming back, unlocking it. It seems...
Yeah, we never realized how much we'd appreciate this.
Yeah, I would really appreciate this small convenience.
Our car should have this, but we bought it used, and the person who sold us the car lost those keys.
Yeah, they only had the regular key.
Yeah.
So do you think that it's possible? Because that existed before, could we do this?
Yes, it's very easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have to go to the dealership and ask them, and they have to calibrate it.
And we have to just like buy more keys? My dream is gonna come true!
We could make this happen, but I think at the time when I asked the dealership about that, we had just bought the car and it was pretty expensive and we didn't really have that much money, and I was like, we can't afford to get the keys too.
Sure, because we decided to pay for the car
but
outright.
It's definitely doable, this very simple fix in your life.
Wow, dreams come true right here on YouTube. Thank you. Well, I'm curious for you, if you could upgrade or if you could have some electronics completely for free with no price added, what would you like to upgrade in your life? I'm curious. Let us know. Alright, let's go to the last topic. Our final topic is money. So I want to know, what are 3 purchases that you regret? 3 things that were not worth it.
That I regret. Not 3 things I love?
No, what were 3 purchases that after you bought it, you said, I shouldn't have bought this?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
regretful purchases. Well, the first one I can think of kind of checks all of the boxes as something you regret. Because in the first place, you didn't want me to buy this.
Because it was
expensive.
Headphones. We were talking about music devices.
Yes. So I already had headphones that I listened to all the time.
That he loves.
So I was already getting the judgment feelings from Vanessa. But I thought maybe I wanted something with even better sound. Maybe a different kind of sound. I was looking for the new sound. So what
happened?
And we didn't have very much money at this time either. So
there's another layer.
I bought these over $100 headphones. And we took them home. And they started hurting my ears.
Because they're
just painful.
They're like noise canceling headphones?
No, it's like they're on ear. They weren't really built to listen to as long as I do.
Okay.
So they hurt my ears, and I was like, oh no, they're hurting my ears. This is really bad.
I can't tell Vanessa.
I can't, yeah. But then also, like, we bought them in South Korea, and the place that I bought them had a no return policy. So I couldn't return them.
And then what happened?
I brought them home and I set them down, and our cat walked up to them and bit the cord and just broke them.
Yes,
And,
within
like,
5 minutes.
Within 5 minutes. No, like 5 seconds. The second I set the headphones down, the cat bit them.
And there was a kind of cord that you can't just take out and
Yeah.
replace it. You have to you have to send it into the company and pay a lot to get it fixed.
Well, I didn't know how to fix it. I think my dad actually fixed it later, and he used them.
Oh, that's good.
So there you go. It actually worked out in the end.
Wow. But yeah, there was a couple layers of
Yeah, there's a lot
regret.
of layers of regret, and then the cat bit the cord anyways. So
And that's something that we should have known. We should have put them up somewhere. You could have put them somewhere else, but just kind of was icing on the cake,
yeah,
which means
No, I
it
can't
was
even use
one more thing.
because I was like hoping, oh, someday maybe they'll be more comfortable. Maybe they'll just feel better. I'll get used to them.
But then you can't even use them because our cat bit the cord.
Yep.
Well, that's a regretful purchase.
There you go. There's a whole story behind that.
Yeah. Can I say one of mine first?
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. One of mine is much smaller, but it is anytime that I buy tea at Starbucks. Always a bad decision.
Sorry, Starbucks.
Yeah, but I don't like coffee, and if I go to Starbucks, that's the only drink that I can drink because they have a lot of coffee stuff, a lot of sweet stuff, but one tea bag at Starbucks. You're just buying a tea bag with hot water. They're not making anything.
Fancy.
It's not a specialized drink. It's just hot water and a tea bag. And it's like $2.50 or something, like $2.50 just for a bag of tea. And you can buy a whole box of tea for the same price.
By the way, this is the difference between Vanessa and I, is that I would never sweat a purchase like that.
Well, for me, it's the taste. It's not necessarily the price. The price is high for tea, but the taste is never worth it.
Yeah.
It's just mediocre tea. It's not even that great.
I'd still never regret it.
Yeah, well,
I don't regret like cheap purchases. I never think about it.
I feel like for me, it's just annoying because I want to have like a cool drink if I'm going to a coffee shop, but then it's just a tea bag in water. It's not even loose leaf tea. Anyway, I'm a tea snob, so let's go to yours.
That's true. All right, the next in my list could be actually a category in and of itself.
Oh,
But the most recent occurrence was when we went to a place on our beach vacation called the Turtle Museum. And it sounded all fancy, but it was like probably $15 a person to get in.
yeah, it was like a turtle rehabilitation center.
Yeah. So, but there was just like one room with some pictures on the wall, and then we thought we were going to see turtles like up close and personal, but they were just in big swimming pools and you could barely see them.
Were they breathing out of their butts?
They probably were at the time.
No, they're sea turtles.
You're right. They weren't breathing out of their butts. And so I was just disappointed with the whole experience and didn't think it was worth it. Although that was a little different because I felt like I was donating because they rescue turtles. But there are a lot of places that are like this, like a museum or some kind of like show that maybe you pay a upfront cost and then the show or the museum is just not very good.
Yeah, like have you
boring.
ever traveled somewhere and you paid to enter a museum or you paid to enter some building and it just wasn't worth it? I feel like that's happened a lot, and that's just the most recent for us, is that, okay, I feel okay because I donated some money to that turtle rehabilitation center, but we didn't really get to see turtles in the way that we wanted to.
I wanted to touch a turtle.
Oh, but they are in a hospital. They're being rehabilitated.
It was a turtle hospital.
Yeah. Do you have any other?
But it sounded way cooler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it did sound cool. Go to the turtle center and see the turtles.
Yeah, my last thing is just a small thing. I bought some t-shirts online.
Oh.
And it's kind of iffy to buy clothes online. But I always felt like I liked the picture that was on them, but then the quality of the shirt wasn't very good.
Especially when it's online, you can't feel it.
It didn't fit that well. Yeah, not a great idea. So I've regretted some of those purchases.
Another thing that I feel like I bought that wasn't worth it, this is a general category, but it's some toys for our, now he's 2-year-old, but throughout his short life, some toys that I bought for him that I thought he'd like because he played with at a friend's house. Or I just thought it would be cool, but he didn't really like it. For example, there's this thing that was, it's like a bead maze. And I remember liking this as a kid, which is why I got it.
I think he played with that.
Not really. He kind of wanted to just pull the beads off, but he couldn't play with it. But I remember I played with it as a kid, and I found it at a secondhand store. It was like $10. It wasn't that much, but I thought he'd play with it. I was like, this is it. He's gonna play with this for so long. It's gonna be great, and he just never really played with it. So I feel like
this will probably be an ongoing problem.
Yeah. So now
that we have kids,
I've tried to kind of back up and think, okay, he likes to play with these 3 things. If other people want to give him presents and give him other toys, that's fine. But for you, if you could have your dream home, what features would you like in that home? All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is nature.
Nature!
I want to know what are 2 cool facts about animals or nature.
You want to know 2 facts?
Yeah, so we did a little bit of research before this because we love watching animal documentaries.
Okay, well, I have a story behind my first factoid.
Okay.
So, one time I was talking to my mom. I don't remember how this came up, but we were talking about turtles. And I don't know why we were talking about turtles, but she said, did you know that turtles breathe through their butts? My mom said this, and we, for days, we were like, Mom, turtles, where did you hear that? That is
Were you a kid?
That was like, no, I was older.
Okay.
Probably a teenager, I guess.
Okay.
But me and my siblings, we all just made fun of her. We're like, Mom, you just made that up. Where on earth did you hear that? But really, it's actually true. A turtle can breathe through its butt.
What?
It's true.
Wait, why do they do this?
Okay, so it's when they're hibernating. So I looked it up to verify because I remember hearing that actually was true. So in the winter, it gets really cold, obviously, and they live underwater. So it's like really cold, it's almost freezing, and they can't use their lungs. So they basically suck water up their butts, and the water gives them oxygen.
Oh,
therefore, they breathe through their butts in the winter when they're hibernating.
Wow, and your mom was right.
So my mom was right, but we did not believe her when she said that.
I mean, it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
So why would you believe her?
It was very random of her. She was like, don't turtles breathe through their butts? And we're like, Mom, you just made that up. There's no way.
But it's true. So this is turtles who specifically live in the water, not box turtles or those types of things.
No. Yeah, turtles, but not ocean turtles either.
Okay, so just ones that live in fresh water and live in the water. Oh, okay.
This is tell your friends.
Oh.
Turtles breathe through their butts.
Before you get to your second fact, I'm going to share one of mine.
Okay.
Which is amazing about butterflies and caterpillars. We're
like a nature documentary now.
Well, I included this because...
Should we talk like David Attenborough?
I feel really nerdy about animals. Yeah, if you've ever seen nature documentaries by BBC, David Attenborough is one of the main commentators. He's been a staple of nature documentaries for over a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, maybe the 70s. So we are big fans of his work. But I included this topic because we're nerdy about animals and nature and like that stuff, and I thought it would be fun to talk about.
Sure.
But a couple months ago, we found 4 monarch butterfly caterpillars in our backyard. And they didn't look so good. They looked like they needed a little bit of help. So we gave them some milkweed leaves, which is what monarch butterflies eat, or monarch caterpillars eat. And we put them in this, we have like a butterfly net. It's like a little container where you can grow butterflies.
Grow and release.
Yes, and so we put the caterpillars in there, gave them a lot of leaves, and they turned into cocoons. And then 2 of them died, but 2 of them became butterflies. It was really amazing. So that kind of sparked my interest in learning more about that. We kind of all know, caterpillars become butterflies, but did you know that a caterpillar, when it creates a cocoon, it will liquefy its body. It's like a soup inside the cocoon, and it is digesting. It's eating itself inside the cocoon, and its DNA just kind of mixes around and becomes a butterfly.
Yeah, so it's not like wrapping a blanket around itself.
No.
Because
it's crazy.
Usually when I thought of a cocoon, you would think that the caterpillar spins something around itself. But no, it's literally liquefying its body on the inside and then turning into, I believe the technical term is a pupa.
A pupa. Yes, so inside, when it actually makes that cocoon, so we saw this happen where the cocoon pops out of the caterpillar's body and the skin and the head pop off and they fall into the ground because...
Kind of like a Halloween story.
It is! It's pretty horrific.
This is almost Halloween.
And inside the cocoon is the liquified soup of the
his
butterfly.
body liquefied and it turned into a terrible creature.
How did nature think that this would work? But it does. It's amazing. Wow. So that's my first cool fact about nature.
Cool nature factoid.
Yes. Caterpillar soup.
Alright, my second is about the noble albatross.
Albatross are so cool.
Although if you say something is an albatross, that kind of means it's a bad thing or like a burden. It's like a saying.
That's kind of like an old-fashioned like expression. But
anyways, my factoid
is
an albatross has the longest wingspan of any bird. Did you know that? Almost 12 feet long, or 3.2 meters, something like that.
3 meters is so long. So that means from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other wing is 3 meters.
Yeah,
12
it's
feet.
a really huge bird.
One bird!
And actually, if you've ever watched any David Attenborough documentaries,
or others,
we watched one with the albatross. It needs to take a really long run before it flies because its wings are so huge.
like a huge airplane, it needs a lot of runway to get off.
But there's a lot of other animals. What was it in the documentary that was trying to get them?
It was the babies.
Oh, sharks!
Yes.
Because they would crash in the water and the sharks would eat them.
When the babies were first learning how to fly, a lot of them crash in the water, and I think they do it at the same time every year. So sharks gather there.
They wait for the babies.
And as the babies are learning to fly, if they fail on their first try, that's it.
Yeah, they can't make it.
Anyway, that was a really sad part of the documentary.
Once they actually get in the air, an albatross can stay in the air for up to 10,000 miles, which is a lot of kilometers. 6,000?
7,000?
Yeah, we're not so good with those conversions that everybody else uses.
Yeah, and I remember you also told me that they could fly
A day.
a whole day with just one
This one? Flap
If
of
they
their
have
wings.
the right wind, because
Yeah.
they go off into
It
the
requires
ocean.
good wind.
Yeah.
Because they just use the wind to bounce up and down.
So they only need to flap their wings one time per day. If
Be a
there's
very
good wind.
lonely existence, just flying over the ocean.
But talking about lonely, they also mate for life.
That's lonely?
Well, no, that's crazy because most birds are not like that. So they go off alone into the ocean to hunt, and then once a year they come back to the same place, and they hope that their husband or wife, their mate, has survived also.
And then they promptly cheat on them.
Well, they are not monogamous. But
They have partners that they regularly come back to, but then they also, go and flirt with other birds.
other birds as well. But they have the same main partner for their whole lives, and they only see them once a year, but they find each other on the same rock, on the same land, every albatross.
They
are really
greet
cool.
each other.
Yeah.
Kisses.
Yeah, you should look up some videos about albatross. They're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of my other cool facts,
What's your last fact?
my last cool fact is about a mantis shrimp. So
The mantis shrimp.
we think about shrimp as the thing that we eat, but the mantis shrimp is really different. I'll show you a picture here. The mantis shrimp is an insane animal. It has the best visual senses of any animal, including humans. So I looked this up to make sure I could explain it correctly. Humans have 3 photoreceptors in our eyes. How many do you think the mantis shrimp have?
10.
12 to 16.
Whoa.
So this means they can see infrared, they can see ultraviolet, they can see every possible thing that's coming through the light spectrum. It is crazy.
Basically, thank God it's not huge and lives on land because it would kill us.
Yes, and it can also punch through. It has this.
They got those hands like this.
Yes, they're like this. It can punch through bulletproof glass that is 1 centimeter thick. So it's almost impossible to keep a mantis shrimp in an aquarium because
break the
they're
glass.
so strong. It's just a shrimp. They're small, but it can punch through bulletproof glass, and most aquariums don't have bulletproof glass. It's less than that.
Why not?
But it will punch through the glass and get out. So they can see everything, and they also can punch through the glass, which is absolutely insane. There's a lot of really cool
And they
videos.
look cool too.
Yeah, colors and their big eyes.
Beautiful. You should share the comic about it too.
Oh.
There's a popular comic in America called The Oatmeal.
It's a website.
Yeah, it's a website. And they have a whole story about the mantis shrimp.
Yeah, there's a good YouTube video too about the mantis shrimp. I think who's that guy who does kind of funny stuff about animals? He's like, that's how the mantis shrimp do.
Oh, Z Frank.
Z Frank.
Look
yes.
up Z Frank
Just look up
for a good laugh.
mantis shrimp on YouTube. You'll find many great things because those animals are so cool. All right, we had a chance to be nerdy. Let's go on to the next topic. And I want to know for you, do you know any cool animal facts? All right, let's go to the next topic. The next topic is holidays. And it is the end of November-ish, which is Thanksgiving time in the U.S. So I want to know, in your experience, what is Thanksgiving like in the U.S.?
In the U.S. Well, it's pretty much just an American holiday, right?
Yeah.
Or Canadian, I suppose.
Canada also has Thanksgiving.
Yes, so for Thanksgiving, the primary thing that we do is eat food.
Okay, next
The
topic.
end!
Oh yeah, this is pretty much all about
It's
food.
really all about the food, especially turkey.
So tell us about food on Thanksgiving.
So, pretty much everybody gets a turkey.
A big,
Yeah,
full
there must be
bird.
like this huge spike in turkey sales
Oh yeah.
in November in the U.S. But everybody gets a turkey. You cook the whole turkey, and you get gravy, and you pour it on there. And there's something called stuffing as well, which is this like bread pudding kind of thing.
Yeah,
I
well,
guess.
you have it inside the turkey. Usually you cook some seasonings and lemons and breads and all different types of things
Some may
inside
argue
the turkey.
that the stuffing is better than the turkey.
Yeah, sometimes
I'm one
it
of
is.
those people.
Stuffing is
I
great.
just eat the
It's
stuffing.
really full of turkey juices. So it's kind of like a breaded mixture. I'll try to share a picture. But
So
stuffing turkey.
the holiday is really just centered around the meal, and then you invite lots of family over.
Yes, it
And
is.
usually, like, one family member will host a lot of family,
Yeah.
I find. And sometimes friends as well, but like your dad has been doing friends for the last few years.
Yeah.
But traditionally, it's only family.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely more a family holiday, that you say goodbye to your friends, go back home wherever you came from. If you live far away from your parents, maybe you'll go back home and have Thanksgiving at their home, or maybe they'll come visit you. It's kind of a time for families to come back together during Thanksgiving.
And if you are a very bonded family, then you always say what you're thankful for.
Oh.
So every year, my family would always say something they're thankful for around the table. And usually when I was a kid, I remember being like,
I don't want to do this.
"I want." But now I'm like, I'm thankful for everybody and everything in my family. It's so beautiful. Get a little more sentimental when you get older.
Well, back to the food. We're kind of talking about the traditions now, but back to the food. The typical things are a big turkey bird, a full bird. You don't have just slices of turkey. You have the full bird, and then you cut it up.
Yeah.
And then stuffing. Green beans is common with gravy, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes. In the south of the U.S., sweet potato casserole is really big. This is
With
insane.
brown sugar on it.
It's insanely sweet because it's sweet potatoes, which are like orange and already pretty sweet naturally. Then brown sugar, and
Marshmallows,
then
right?
marshmallows
Oh,
for dinner.
I forgot about that.
Crazy, but
I always eat like this much of that
It's-
because it's too sweet.
it's really rich. But that's kind of a southern thing. And you also always have cranberry sauce.
Right.
Cranberry is a really tart berry. It's so tart, it's really sour, but when you mix it with a lot of sugar, it's great.
And you need mashed potatoes.
Yeah, so the cranberries and the mashed potatoes and the turkey, it's a perfect combination. That kind of tart flavors with the mashed potatoes, with
Yeah.
the turkey, kind of mixes together really great.
Yeah, basically the point is to eat so much you can barely move at the end of the day.
Well, they do say that turkey, the bird, the turkey meat, has some kind of...
Tryptophan,
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
That kind of enzyme in it? Isn't it enzyme? Hormone or
Chemical?
It has something in the meat naturally that makes you feel sleepy. So at Thanksgiving, that's really one of the only times when we eat turkey. So because we eat so much turkey, it's kind of stereotypical to say after the Thanksgiving meal, everyone crashes on the couch and watches football.